What's up, dudes? Welcome back to WCS Oceania broadcast. Maynard, Moonglade, Pig. We promised you StarCraft games. They are coming, but they're not here just yet. We're sort of waiting for a couple of results of other series and trying to decide whether or not we want to go forward with, ZVZs that are available. We really want to make sure that NXZ gets some time on stream. There's a few players that haven't actually been on the mainstream yet that we would love to have on here, like your Demi Loves, like NXZ. So we're trying to see how Crimson Azure plays out. At the moment, they are on the B stream, I believe, and starting to round out that series. It looks like Crimson was up 1-0, but it's not confirmed whether or not it'll be tied up or whether Crimson will get the 2-0 sweep in the end. So we're sort of waiting on the results there. The brackets are available to you if you use the command !bracket in the chat. You'll be able to get it up for yourself.
Yeah, and it looks like Iger's just 2-0 Demi, by the way.
And Crimson also just won his series. So two big updates there. Iger's getting the 2-0 over Demi, which is huge. And he's going to be refacing Hut again. And then NXZ is going to face Crimson. Crimson did get over that 2-0 over Azure, even though apparently he took a bad trade when they were both players were maxed out. But he fought back in the end. Well played, Crimson. Well played, Ben.
Yeah, that's a really good win. 2-0 over Azure is very confidence boosting. Iger's 2-0 over Demi. Very good for him. It hasn't been Demi's weekend so far, has it? This is unfortunate because we saw Demi. I feel like he had his breakthrough at the last season of qualifiers, for Austin at IEM Sydney. We're like, hey, you finally get a chance to come down here to, the LAN event. The visa issues are gone. He showed he was so good. Yeah, NXZ did barely inch him out in some games where it felt like Demi even had advantages and stuff. But it was Demi really showing what he was made of. And he had some amazing games in that tournament. So I really hope he rallies in the lower bracket, keeps it together. And I'd love to see him make it through to that top 4.
He was really a bit of a crowd favorite as well. He's like such a good personality and such a nice guy that everyone really wanted him to do well, even though he was the guy coming to Australia and fighting all the Australians for it.
Yeah, 20-hour odd flight and then jet lag and all the stuff to deal with, and playing on stage in front of a foreign crowd in a foreign country that he's never been to before and putting on such a good show. Then going into an online qualifier where he plays from the comfort of his own home and his own PC with his own setup. Couldn't be more comfortable situation if he wanted, and is struggling so badly. Isn't that strange?
Yeah, I mean, it is. Sorry, I'll let you go.
It's just it makes you wonder what kind of ping he's playing with when he plays at home as well, because he's all the way in India, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's not something that's stopped him before. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
That is true.
Oh well.
Nerves sometimes can bring out the best in people, and sometimes it'll cripple people. So
that is true.
One of those guys, man.
Some people perform better under stress. I'm definitely not one of them.
So a lot of interesting matches starting to line up. Personally, of course, we can't, unfortunately, in the round of 8 of the upper bracket, cast everything. But I'm so curious to see how Hut approaches the rematch with Iagars after the Iagars gutter stomped every Terran he played yesterday. To put it lightly, Iagars was like just an unstoppable force in Zerg vs Terran yesterday. It was very cool to see him so unstoppable in his, facing his former race. I think Hut's going to have to take a very fresh approach in that one. I think yours versus Seether, of course, is going to be a very action-packed match as well. So, very, very cool.
Not a game I wouldn't cast in this top 8 and winner bracket right now, man. It's like they're all just great matchups.
I hope not, you goddamn diva. No, I don't want to cast that. I don't get out of the bed for anything better than Seether versus Probe. I don't want to cast anything else. All right. Oh, okay.
See you at the grand finals.
Moonglade shows up to the Discord call. He's got like his fur coat on and these big aviator sunglasses. Just takes them off.
Not me, man. Not me. I'll take what I can get.
I think back in Wings of Liberty, you could have gotten away with that, but not in 2018. All right?
No, man.
You're one of us now.
Oh, man. Yeah, but NXZ versus Crimson? I like that.
It's going to be sick. I'm really excited for it.
Gimme.
Yeah, NXZ was tweeting the other day, said he had some rough, I don't think he said, I think his exact words was something very close to the statement of saying, I had like the worst week of ladder in my life kind of thing. He tweeted a day or two ago. He's like, well.
Did he just come back from Austin? Like, come on.
Yeah,
It's okay to have a rough week after, traveling internationally.
exactly. I think it's one of those things where it's actually better to have that happen. Whereas like if that starts, like you've had a really good up phase and then you start having a bad day like the day before the tournament or the day of the tournament, I think that's actually kind of worse. I would rather like have like a bit of a downswing, the full 3 or 4 days, like a week ahead of the tournament, and then like, be starting to recover. And if you make it past one opponent, it gives you a lot of confidence and you can kind of build up that psychological momentum as well as just that confidence in your play as you get through each stage. And NXZ's that sort of player. He's emotional. He is, momentum based. It wasn't raw technical skill and perfect build orders that got him through to Austin. It was him just getting really, really hyped and performing under pressure. And as you said, Andy, it's like some people play better when things are on the line. Some people fall apart. I felt like NXZ really stepped it up. So if he can kind of just channel that same mindset of like, hey, I've got nothing to lose, everything to gain. Let's just go with the momentum and try to win these games. If he makes it past Crimson, I feel really good about him making the upper bracket finals.
Yep, I think so too, because it is his first series of the day as well. So maybe he doesn't even know how he's playing today, and he'll really do need that little jump start if he can get a decent win to bring him further down the winner's bracket. So yeah, it all hinges on this. I'm excited to see if NXZ has kind of grown, if he's learned a lot, if the trip to Austin did him a lot of good, gave him more confidence, even though he had a bit of a rough time there. He got to meet all like the very top players and see how they think. It's always an interesting sort of growth development, I think, when the players finally get that overseas trip and they get to exposure to everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I see NXZ in the chat saying, telling Maynard, actually, he's in the Twitch chat right now. Obviously, there's a delay on the stream. He's saying, Demilove's actually in Korea right now. You've got to remember he's playing with a little bit more lag than usual to the AU server.
Yeah, I messed that one up. So correction there from NXZ. Thank you, NXZ. My bad.
Good guy, Ryan. And here we go. We're going to be diving into his match against Crimson. Here we go. The Kiwi player who has been such a mainstay of the scene. We joke about him being an old veteran when he's actually like in his early 20s. That's the way it is, esports years, right?
Yes, indeed. And it looks like we got me and Glade going for the cast here. I thought it was Glade and Pig, but let's do it.
Sorry, Piggy.
Right, Pig. Sit down, Pig. Speak when spoken to. And it's up right here from SYF. This is Crimson.
Exile.
And down here in the bottom left, for Legacy, we have Ryan NXZ.
Ryan Challenger Jones.
Yeah,
hot off that Austin press. I think most people were hot after Austin because apparently it was extremely warm and a little bit too hype. It's a lot of crowd, a lot of viewers, a lot of noise in that venue.
It's gonna get stinky. It's gonna get real sweaty in there, man. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been and gone, so whatever remains is not really our concern anymore. Hopefully, NXZ's got that air conditioning back at home. Then you go all the way from Austin to Australia, and it's winter right now. However, I think he lives in Brisbane, so there is actually no cold weather in that state. Can you confirm or deny that?
Can confirm, and it's beautiful right now. I went for a walk this morning.
God damn it!
Had my breakfast, and man, it is heaven outside.
Literally under 10 degrees in Adelaide when I got up this morning. I'm like throwing on all my warm clothes, and it's like I got a little collared shirt on.
You're on the beach as well, man, so you're going to be feeling it even more than most.
Oh, yeah. You've been to my place. So has Pig, actually. You've seen how close I am to the water, and that Antarctic wind just goes straight over that freezing cold ocean right through the front door. So it's a nice, cool breeze, that's for sure.
All right, well, looking at the opening for this game, and a bit of a gentleman's agreement. Hatchery first, gas pool, nothing out of the ordinary, just setting up shop on 2 base. I'm liking it.
Yeah, certainly it looks like it. All pretty regular stuff. I like that you call it the gentleman's agreement. That's what I used to call the 15 hatch openers in Heart of the Swarm and Wings of Liberty. Just sort of like, I'm not gonna be a aggressive boy. I'm not gonna put those aggressive pants on. I'm gonna let you get to the mid game and do whatever you want while I try and do the same thing on the other side of the map.
Yeah, especially in ZVZ, because, you can really turn it on if you want to in the early game. So if you both go on for the hatchery first, I consider that quite gentlemanly. Quite a handshake.
Yeah. You were a very gentlemanly Zoe back in the day, for the most part, Glade. I don't remember you going
tried.
for too many 6 pulls or.
I did a little bit of cheese. I did a little bit here and there. You know, you got to throw it in. If you don't, then you're only hurting yourself. You know, you got to spice things up and keep them guessing.
Speaking of spice, we have the 4 links here from NXZ coming across the map. Both players are taking that third base at the 2.5 minute mark, so really mirrored openings for both players. Just a few extra drones a little bit earlier for NXZ, and both players are getting that Baneling nest. However, it looks like it might just be defensive. Oh, this could potentially be an overall kill. He needs that high ground. Oh,
I think he's got it. I think he's okay. Wow.
I don't think. Okay. Yeah, I mean the Overlord's fine because he's so far off creep that he's the next shot down, but he doesn't have that high ground. But oh well.
Yeah, it's always a scary thing when the Overlord started getting pushed back and you don't actually see every avenue on the map. It's when those lings can slide on out and you don't even know until the Banelings are crashing into your third base. So always a fear, always such an important maneuver in the early game to keep those Overlords alive and keep every sort of avenue open.
Lovely scout here for NXZ as he gets into that natural. Sees a group of lings from Crimson that pull back to clean him up. So he knows he's actually getting a little bit of aggression right now, and as a result, NXZ morphing some defensive Banelings, setting up his queen, trying to stop these lings from doing any damage, but looks like Crimson actually did a fakie. He's leaving those lings at home.
Yeah, you know, a lot of Banelings for NXZ right now as well. Currently sitting at 7, so a lot of gas invested into just defense right now, which is a little strange.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a Ling attack was coming because of those 2 scouting Lings. You saw that group of Lings, so I don't actually blame him for that choice. Crimson is going for the Roach follow-up here, so NXZ is going to squeeze out a few more drones. Crimson's going to hit that next stage of ZVZ a little bit earlier with slightly less of an economy. Not the hugest of deals.
Not the hugest of deals just yet. And yeah, that +1, the next step for both players, no doubt about that. Such an important upgrade for Roaches against Lings and against Roaches as well. And it obviously leads into that +2, which really makes a difference in Roach versus Roach.
Yeah, certainly. Oh, that Overlord getting a little bit too deep here.
I think he's sacking it just to perhaps try and see the drone count of the third base.
It'll supply block him though.
That is his decision. That was his decision at that point.
Well, you know what? He's a better player than me, so I'll let it stand. I'll allow him to lose that Overlord.
But he did supply blocking, you were completely right.
Yeah. Oh, nice scout from Crimson, that one Ling getting in the main, seeing the lair halfway done. Ooh. It's weird that Crimson's blue. Just throwing that out there.
I'm used to NXZ being red, funnily enough. Like,
yeah?
Yeah, I don't know why, but I feel like he's always red.
Okay, alright.
That's what I'm going with.
Alright, okay. NXZ just looking for any kind of utility with this group of Lings here.
Oh man.
Flirting with danger a little bit there.
Just looking
I don't
for
see
a
him
way.
getting any damage done.
No, not at all. I think he's kind of just putting on the pressure, maybe trying to find a way to do something, but he's not even getting the Baneling. He's going to try and run to the
prison.
Yeah, nope, maybe.
I mean, he has this group of Lings, and it is important to be active with your army, right? Like, if your army's just sitting at home, then it's not really being worth its money, so he's keeping Crimson on his toes, using some of his APM to defend while he gets up into the Roach count. That's a good connection there. But speaking of Roach count, both players are getting it up there, and they are heading into the double digits with Roaches here. With a Hydra Den being a lot earlier here for Crimson, he's going to have a tech advantage, but if he puts, a little bit of time and energy and resources into Hydras, that's going to hurt his Roach count a little bit. As we can see, NXZ is going to have probably a lot more Roaches and that earlier speed as a result.
Yeah, it's definitely a fine line of when you go into those Hydras and how comfortable you are. And it's definitely a gamble to go into it this early, considering we are seeing NXZ starting to move across the map with mass Roaches. He did see that earlier 4th base, so he's thinking, okay, he's invested a little bit more into his infrastructure. Maybe I have more Roaches. Maybe I can start putting on the pressure as he goes for his 4th.
Well, Crimson saw this move out with the Overlords. He's just making Roaches and there's a few Ravages back at home. With this defender's advantage, he should be able to push NXZ back here. Losing the hatchery would be a bit of a surprise, but, NXZ did get a nice little bit of ground on him there, so he doesn't really have that lovely concave that Crimson would like to have. Ooh, 360 no-scopes that Overseer there, but doesn't have enough damage to take it out in the end.
Oh, wow. Very quick Lurker Den as well for Crimson, so he knows what he wants to go. He wants to go straight into Lurkers, which is pretty much the army stopper of this kind of army, I'm going to call it. Roaches have no chance. The army stopper.
Yep.
It's the worst name ever, but I'm going with it. And
you got to double down, man. Let it ride.
yeah, man, I own this now.
Say
And,
everything really confidently. This is quite a bit of army here for NXZ, but Crimson's not too far behind. And like you mentioned, the army stopper units, the lurkers, are about a third of the way from having that tech. Ooh, so many more roaches coming from NXZ being rallied from home. If he commits here, this could get dangerous for Crimson.
Very nice there. Just kind of pushing them back for now, and it's really up to Crimson to be on top of where this army is at all times, as he cannot let it get in. He's got to have the concave advantage as well if he wants to try and safely get to those lurkers and hydras. But NXZ really on a timer right now. He's got to make something happen before those lurkers are out.
All right, well, he's just rotating around here. Some biles going down for both players, but good control for both players. They haven't really eaten any corrosive bile connections. A couple overlords have taken a few, but none of the units have. It's good control for both players, and the hydras are out. Lurker Dead's about to finish, and those hydras are about to become lurkers. So this is going to be really good for Crimson defensively, as NXZ's put in so much time and money into this army of his.
Something going on at the third base for a moment there. A bit of a little roach aggression. Trying to just delay NXZ, and oop. NXZ making the big mistake of running into the concave. And this is a problem, you know, a very, very well laid out base, and just Crimson staying on top of where that army is so he can never find a way in. And now the lurkers are out, and it's going to be that much harder for NXZ to find any damage with Roach Raptor.
Yeah, he has that overseer with his army, so you can potentially pick off a lurker. In fact, he gets one of them there, but now he sees that the lurkers are out, and honestly, continuing to pressure here with these roaches is a little bit too hard of an ask at this point. Now that the lurkers are out and he's seen them, he's like, all right, I need something else. And it looks like he's going to go for tunneling claws, which is a pretty interesting choice here from NXZ. Whereas Crimson is going into Hive, and he's probably looking for adaptive talents, and in the super late game, potentially Broodlords as well.
Oh, nice move
from NXZ.
A lot of drones going down. A whole base of drones going down for this. He might lose a lot of roaches, but maybe not. He's actually got quite a number, but it's just a very awkward position to be in. But still, the damage has been done. Same time, Crimson over the other side of the map, going for the third base with the counterattack, finding damage of his own.
Now, Crimson's taken a lot of drone damage here, but he's not that far behind NXZ on workers, because NXZ's been making a lot of units here. So that economy hit does hurt, but he's not down and out. He does have that fourth base still saturated, and he also has his lurkers. So now Crimson's going to use that army advantage to come across the map and try and really hurt NXZ here.
And I think he's got a good chance of doing so, especially if he keeps these lurkers alive. 3 lurkers is all you need to really deal with a massive amount of roaches. A bit of a base trade situation.
Yeah, it looks like a base trade, and if he can get a couple lurkers down on the other side to help defend, it's like having defensive siege tanks in TBT. Going to be very hard to trade efficiently. He doesn't have these lurkers finished just yet. The natural, they're on the way. If NXZ can pounce and pick up those lurkers, it'll be a great start to this base trade for him.
Wow. Beautifully done there. He knows what he has to look for, because that is the trump card here. He's got to find any sort of lurkers that might be morphing here, because they're going to stop those roaches in their tracks.
I still think I like Crimson's position a little bit more. He has more army, therefore he has more firepower, and he is clearing through these hatcheries a lot quicker than NXZ. However, he's taken that hatchery to the north-hand side, so he is starting this base trade in brutal fashion, whereas Crimson doesn't have any drones across the map just yet to get those proxy hatcheries down.
Oh, actually, it looks like Crimson may have brought a few drones with him. Yeah, he's starting to take natural. Another drone in the main base helping out with the attack. So he's got a couple of spare hatcheries potentially being made there. Very smart by Crimson as well.
The thing is, though, when you're base trading like this, like you know, Glade, that it kind of comes down to who has the bigger army and the better tech in the end, right? Like, it's so hard to win base trades when one person's army is just better than yours.
Yeah, especially if you're dealing with lurkers, because the army can just leave that base alone, essentially, and the lurkers are going to do all the damage they need. So it is such an advantage for Crimson right now. Supply advantage just with roaches, hydras, and ravages alone, but then you've got the lurkers to deal with that just are going to do insane amounts of damage. And look at this, he's splitting up his army in half just because he knows he can. He can leave the rest at home, and he's got more than enough to defend.
NXZ with his overlords saw the movements here of Crimson. Crimson was moving to the north, and he got a little bit worried there, so he's pulled off a bunch of his units, and also has that Broach Burrow Tech tunneling claw, so his roaches can heal up nice and quickly. Crimson, I think the best he can hope for is maybe morphing Ravages, but does he even have he doesn't have any kind of tech anymore. Both players just have a hatchery each.
Yeah, pretty much at this point. A little bit of a worker advantage for Crimson as well, so he's going to be getting his pace up and running a little bit faster.
That economy is blaring. 6 whole drones.
Bit of a stalemate right now. Ooh, a drone up the top right as well, just in case Crimson's hatchery gets in trouble.
I feel like Crimson can kind of collapse on NXZ though, but does he have any overseers with his army, Crimson? Because if he doesn't, Burrowed Roaches would be really annoying. He does. He has 4.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
He's pretty good right
so
now.
Both players with overseers means they can deal with the scary units. The Burrowed Roaches for Crimson, and NXZ has to deal with the Lurkers.
I think that's probably why Crimson hasn't moved out yet. He's just afraid of the burrowed roaches right now. They can be such a pain. They come out of nowhere. So he wants to stay on top of his base, and NXZ going to be poking the front here with his Ravagers.
Yeah, Corrosive Biles is a good way to get rid of these Lurkers, but Crimson's not letting him have any ground there. So this is a weird game as it starts to recover. Like Crimson's remaking his spawning pool. He's got another hatchery going up, and his old main base is being retaken. So, yeah. It's getting wonky.
It's getting a little wonka doodle. That's a blast from the past. I haven't used that word in a while. But
Wonka doodle.
Wonka doodle, man. You can use that one too.
You know what? I'm good. Crimson goes in this Overlord. Sees his base of NXZ. Very important to see that. So that's it for NXZ. If he can get this base, that is GG.
And at this rate, it's definitely possible Crimson to move out with enough of an army to beat that army as well as defend the space. Three Lurkers in that position is insanity for defense. So it's just going to be how safe Crimson wants to play this.
Well, he can't play it too safe. Giving NXZ room to breathe might be a mistake here. And he's going to move down, but that high ground advantage NXZ does get a little bit of damage done to the Roaches. Keep in mind that Crimson still is up 30-odd army supply. That's a pretty big deal. This Roach Warren being retaken. He has a lot of gas in the bank, so he doesn't actually need to mine gas to be able to get a nice big bowl of Roaches. In fact, I think that might be his plan. He only has 1 hatchery worth of lava, though, and no queen injecting, so it can't really be that much lava.
Starting to mine from that base in the top right as well.
Oh.
And it looks like NXZ taking the bottom right.
He's going straight up into lair here. Is Crimson trying to go up for Mutalisk?
Oh. Didn't even think of that.
That would be a pretty sick maneuver. There's not a whole lot that NXZ can do about that.
I think you might be right.
He is. Double gas going down.
Clever boy.
Clever girl. Ooh, don't lose these overseers. They're very important.
And I wonder if NXZ just realized what might be happening. Like, okay, he's getting his gas, he's going straight to lair. What could kill me very, very easily?
Mutt-mutts.
Mutt-mutts.
Well, lair is finishing up, and it's almost certainly going to be Mutt-mutts here for Crimson as he's gotten all 3 of his gases. Well, I guess all 3 out of the 4 gases that are available to him taken. The main is mostly mined out gas-wise, but there's that Spire.
Good call.
Nice changelings. I make all right calls sometimes.
Yeah, you do good.
That's
there
a pretty vulnerable main, I gotta say though. That Spire.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're not seeing more of a scout from NXZ. You know, just making sure the map is clear. But you know, these things happen. And it's going to come back to bite him, man. That's a pretty short flight path as well for the Mulisks. So they're going to get there even quicker.
Yeah, so I'm just a little bit worried about the fact that the Mulisks can actually just attack the army of NXZ, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you could try and bile them, that's not going to happen. As long as Crimson, as long as he has USB power to his keyboard and mouse, I feel like these Mulisks aren't going to die to you know, corrosive bile. So it's going to be up to NXZ to get the correct read here, and at the moment it doesn't look like he's successfully doing it. He remade a Roach Warrior, he's got a lair on the way, and he really doesn't have the gas count to try and chase the Mutalisk count.
Yep. Oop, busted. Drones scouted by the Overlord. Ooh, and a cheeky 5 Roaches go rotating bottom right. Same time, Spire just about to finish, and at least 5 can be made.
Yeah, and he's trying to go up for a Hydra Den. Hydras can be nice here against the against Mutalisks, but NXZ actually isn't mining any gas. He hasn't got a single gas geyser. So the amount of Hydras he can get up at the moment is 0.
Oh dear. And the whole army of NXZ is actually rotated bottom right, by the way. That's so dangerous. Crimson taking advantage of this.
He has Roach Burrow. I was going to say, it probably wants to use that, but manages with that Overseer to chase him down anyway. And I think that this is going to be Crimson's game, man. I don't see how NXZ holds these Mutts in this big superior army of Crimson.
Yeah, I do not see it at all. Even the Roaches alone are going to be doing damage here. Forcing the whole army back.
Yeah, there it is.
And here we go. Mulus on the map. Surprise.
That is the GG unit right there. I mean, with the Overseer, he can just continue to just kill this Roach army of NXZ. He doesn't have an option. He can't make Hydras. He's making Spore Crawlers right now. But will the Spore Crawlers even get up?
I don't think so. They could be focused down by that many Mutas fairly easily. You would not want to be biling these Mutas while they're on top of your base as well. Down they go, and I think that might be the game for NXZ. Whenever he feels comfortable.
So. He's trying to get those Spore Crawlers up. He's trying to make 3 at once here. Crimson's just rallying more and more Mutts over. Looks like one of those Spore Crawlers might finish. They're getting very, very low. My dog says hello. As Crimson continues to rain terror from above. Wow, Spores are going to get up. But he's going over the Lurkers. Oh, NXZ! Taking so much splash damage to these units, but does Crimson have enough on the ground at home? It looks like he does.
GG.
GG. Wow, what a insane first game there.
Yeah, man, that got complicated pretty quick. That was fun to see, you know. I haven't seen a base trade in a while, but yeah, man, Lurkers are just going to create all kinds of problems for that situation.
They certainly will. My dog was really upset by that series, so.
Sorry, Loki. Jeez.
Yeah,
don't watch the stream then, mate.
I mean,
he's got to watch it. Yeah,
that's right. True. Well, we got NXZ. Oh, jeez. All right. Easy, fella. Easy. We're going to go into game 2 here with Crimson looking really good in game number 1. It is kind of hard to look good when you're in that kind of game, though. So I can imagine NXZ tying this up for sure. He's definitely got those skills, but you know.
I definitely see that as well. Definitely not a good start for NXZ today, but yeah, I mean, it's just first game. It's warm-up game. It was pretty much a warm-up game for NXZ, you know? It's first game in the tournament today.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure he did probably a little bit of ladder to warm up this morning, but as mentioned on Twitter, NXZ's not having a very good time on the ladder at the moment. Hopefully that's not affecting his mindset too badly. He's definitely can beat Crimson. He's beaten him before, but...
Oh, Crimson, NXZ's... I would dare say NXZ's ZVZ is probably his best matchup. I'm just going to say that. Yeah, I have a feeling that is the case. I could be wrong, but from what I see...
I feel like a lot of Zergs in our region have ZVZ pretty much down pat.
You kind of have to, right? There's just so many Zergs.
There is so many. So many. It's not as bad as Wings of Liberty. Even, you know, in the lobby chat, there was Igus talking about the old days where ACL had a round of 8 double elim old Zergs.
I remember this.
I was the only commentator. And I think that round of 8 started at like midnight or something.
I definitely remember no, sorry, not IM Sydney.
ACL Sydney.
ACL Sydney going to like 2 or 3 a.m.
Me
versus Tiger in the finals.
Oh yeah, the Tiger Banes. That was the strat back then.
Yep. Cut.
Oh man.
Those were the days.
You know what? I don't miss it. In the top left here, from SYF, currently up 1 in the series. Finally sporting Crimson. This is Crimson.
And down here in the bottom right, currently down a game, we do have NXZ from Legacy.
Yep, and nothing cheeky there, just using the gas cancel for that extra drone.
Why not?
Woo-woo!
Yeah, he likes that. All right.
Oh, yeah, he's like, gas cancel. Yeah, Loki loves gas cancel. He's like,
I'll for that every day.
He's like, I don't think it kind of matters, but it's really cool to watch. Woo!
I love seeing blood splatter. Yay!
Yeah. Wow, hatchery first here from NXZ, so not pulling any punches. Both players going hatch first. The gentleman's agreement once more.
I like this, man. It is a pretty lengthy map. I definitely see it being a more comfortable opening. A bit harder to find traction with early Ling Bane harassment.
And, well, we're in sort of like a lull in the action here in the CVC, so we're going to use this opportunity to thank our sponsors. Proudly produced by GameStar, proudly supported by McDonald's, and proudly casted by myself, Maynard, and Moonglade, and also Pig when he gets his chance.
When he gets his shot.
Yeah. You only get one shot, and do not miss your chance to blow. Is that spawning pool coming down to
That's
Crimson?
an
Yeah.
interesting place for a spawning pool. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
I like it, Maynard.
This is the Crimson's been doing this. He uses it as like a spotter spawning pool. So instead of covering the mineral line, leaving the mineral line a little bit more open to like a ling attack or something like that.
Exactly. Like if
But-
it was an early ling attack, that spawning pool is target number 1.
Correct. Yeah. And I always learn, like even back in Wings of Liberty's days when I was playing Zerg before I switched to Terran, I like one of the first things Zerg players were telling me to do is to build your structures around your mineral line, make it harder for your Zerg opponent to get in there. But,
Yeah, you definitely want a Sim City for like bailing attacks and that sort of thing. And you probably could see, any sort of aggression maybe fairly early on, but I still feel like you'd probably have your spawning pool on the way before you know for sure what's going on. So it's a dangerous idea, but if it hasn't bitten him yet, then maybe he knows better than both of us.
Bitten once, twice shy.
Exactly right, my friend.
Surely this isn't a third hatchery from Crimson at the front there. It is. Okay. There we go.
He's a very forward
Both
builder.
players. He's very forward.
I like that about him.
These 4 lings of NXZ are going to get a whole lot done. There's 2 queens ready to body block there, no problem. Both players fully aware of these third bases. They have those overlords in a nice spot. Don't want to get too deep with these queens. It is always dangerous that they might get surrounded by lings and taken out.
Yeah, you always got to be careful, but it's such an advantage if you can like shoo away those overlords from actually seeing one of the paths to each other's bases. It is such an important piece of information early in the game.
Certainly. And just both players trying to get as much information as possible. That's what StarCraft is all about. And this matchup can really turn on its head. And the aggression is being turned up here with Crimson making 14 lings.
Crimson
Big
getting
scout from
fresh.
NXZ, though.
Ooh, yes, he's going to actually probably see a lot of these lings pop if he can hang around for long enough, and that's going to tell.
He sees him.
Bingo. Yahtzee.
Hello.
What's
And
going on here?
Yahtzee.
And
That's
that's
full
the
house here.
Oh my lord.
So he made a Baneling nest back at home. Both players did. So Crimson can make aggressive Banelings, and the defensive Banelings for NXZ are up. So he has the tools to be able to hold here. It's going to come down to control.
All about control. He's got to try and get some good hits with those Banelings from both sides. Lings are going to be working on that third base, though. He's got to get over there soon. One Baneling remains, though. Gets shot down.
The third is up, and these Banelings are kind of being rallied weirdly here for Crimson, and NXZ's cleaning up a couple of them. A lot of Lings remaining, though. Queen's out of position, no wall off, no Lings in position. Crimson gets into the main base, and he's droning right now. So he's just going to come back with these Lings, and should be a problem. Sees the lair, though.
Sees the lair. Oh, might be getting a cheeky drone or two here, but both players are droning up from here, so very aware of when the aggression stops. What kind of aggression it was, simply to just put the player off point, make him build Zerglings instead of drones, and not the case for either player. Very experienced, and a little bit of a supply lead for NXZ beyond this.
Yeah, it's a little bit extra, and I got to say that's a pretty big deal in this mirror matchup. That's an extra 10 drones. Pretty huge. Both players at that third base. Crimson's is looking a little bit sad. It's only got 1 drone mining there. Whereas NXZ is looking a lot healthier. And he's got that... Oop! Those Banelings trying to be made down at the third base. Crimson nearly picked them off, but didn't quite get the job done there.
Deciding not to. I think he might have been focusing on those Lings that being attacked by Queens and pulled them all back at once. Just looking for a way in. Not finding anything there. And NXZ in a much more... very good position right now. Look at the harvester difference right now. That's actually a game changer.
It is pretty huge, but you know what? Crimson is holding that R button. And a lot of roaches are coming out here for him, and so are the Lings. Crimson going to go for a big attack here without much of an economy to come home to. So he's looking pretty all in. Nice connection there with those Banelings, getting a lot of those Zerglings dead to start things off with.
Oh man, NXZ making more and more drones. That might be the kicker here. He is simply droning too hard at this point. He's not aware of the fact that Crimson is simply, as you said, holding down the R button. Maybe he has an idea now that he starts seeing Lings popping out, and he's like, oh man, he's gone full aggressive mode.
Yeah, no spine crawlers, not that many roaches of his own. It looks like Crimson might have the army to get it done here. These Queens look like one of them has a transfusion on her. She's getting very, very low here. Janela gets picked off. The Banelings connecting as well as they can for NXZ. The Crimson's coming and knocking with a lot more army supply. NXZ starting to drop a lot of supply here. At these extra 30 drones, can they stand and fight against these Banelings and Ravagers? I don't think so.
Oh, not when there's a Baneling in the mix as well. So much damage going down. The drone count's going to be very evened up in just a moment's time. And I don't think there's any way NXZ can come back from this unless you're going to have like 10 roaches pop out any second. So much damage.
14 on the way. And he can stand to lose drones here. If he keeps these hatcheries alive and manages to clean up these Ravagers, maybe NXZ can hold on.
Biling the eggs is probably the coolest thing ever, and it just stopped 2 more roaches from popping out. So keeps doing that, man. It's going to give him the momentum to just seal this game.
Oh, yeah. This is such a brutal position here for Crimson, parking on top of the production facilities, on those eggs, on those hatcheries, grabbing roaches as they pop out, reinforcing with Lings. NXZ starting to clean it up on the left-hand side. The army supply is starting to close a little bit. Crimson may get cleaned up here as NXZ loses 11, 12, 13, 14 more drones, equalizing the drone count here with Crimson, but he still hasn't dealt with his Ravagers and Lings.
Exactly. This Ravager has been doing so much damage, killing more and more eggs and more Lings are just streaming across the map. It's such a big army, and he's going to be focusing down the roach for now, stopping the roach count altogether. Oh,
gets another roach cancel there with killing that egg. It still looks like Crimson's not getting cleaned up. NXZ's just trickling in roaches one at a time. He's losing queens. He's losing more and more eggs. Another queen goes down. All the queens are starting to die here. And just with this big Ling reinforcement, Crimson just is not stopping. He's dialed it up to 11 and he's ripped off the knob.
Cut the play. More and more Lings coming out here, and it just doesn't seem like enough, man. With the roaches, with the Ravagers at the back, and the stream of Lings across the map, NXZ finding hard to get any sort of momentum behind this and defend. It's never
now
easy.
the Roach Warren's dead.
Roach Warren is gone, so it's going to have to be only Lings coming out now. And he's on the cusp of defending this, you know, he nearly has it now. The stream has run dry. And they're pretty even in harvesters, but I feel like the infrastructure just being annihilated of NXZ right now, so it's going to be a hard track even if he does defend this.
Well, I mean, he's closed the army supply gap a little bit. He's going to try and get aggressive with these Lings, but the ability to make roaches for Crimson and the fact that NXZ can't make roaches now that he's just got that last roach coming out is a little bit rough. Oh, actually, did NXZ remake his roach warren? He actually did. He made his roach warren elsewhere, knowing that it was going to go down. He also took a 4th base on the back of this with Crimson trying to punish him with having a little bit too much tunnel vision there.
He's definitely in a good place now with these Lings getting a lot of surrounds on switches. Still has a lot of movement, a lot of ways to move around as well. And he's stabilized. He's making nothing but roaches. Looks like NXZ looking for a counterattack at some point very soon.
I mean, if NXZ gets away with his 4th hatchery, he has more production than Crimson. He did lose a lot of his queens, though, so his inject's probably not looking as nice. Catching a couple Banelings here. Anything that NXZ can do, trade some gas, any units that he can pick off for free, going to be very, very helpful here as he's managed to still retain that economy lead. Wow. What an incredible hold for NXZ. He also has +1 attack over Crimson.
That's important.
Can he hold on?
I think he might be able to with +1 attack and the amount of Lings we're seeing for Crimson right now. There is definitely a hope, but he's got to get his whole army together, man. Picked apart right now.
Yeah, he was losing a few roaches out of the Lings, but now he's consolidating his forces, and the defender's advantage here in ZVZ is quite real here. Crimson coming down to this 3rd base. Still hasn't really been looking for that 4th, and the drone's just being pulled, mitigating the damage a little bit. They get pulled back towards the other hatchery to the north, and that's going to be the first that Crimson sees of this one. As NXZ closes the gap here with that roach count. The Ravagers aren't very good against pure roach. Crimson might be deflected, and NXZ's going to come back here.
He's definitely deflected it. Completely annihilated the army, but he lost 19 drones in that as well in the defense. He's going to have to counterattack. He's going to have to find some damage to make up for this.
Yeah, certainly. He's actually given up the drones here at this base. He's getting one more injection. Nice run by Crimson. Going to punish this very naked base. NXZ going for the big counterattack.
He might need those Lings back at home, man. He does not have too much here. That's a lot of +1. Just stampeding towards the natural here. And there's only Lings and 1 roach to defend, and GG is called.
Oh, man. What a hold. What recovery from NXZ. He was down he was up. He had 30 more drones than his opponent and like 1/5 of the army supply and managed to hold on there. The defenders managed a big deal there.
Big deal, man.
For sure.
I thought he was completely dead, especially once he lost the Roach Warren. it was just such an ugly situation, but he held in there, man. What a turnaround! And I mean, that kind of win's going to give him wings, man. He's going to be in a good spot coming into Game 3.
NXZ's the kind of guy that really likes to ride that hype wave. Like he was fist pumping and jumping up and down on stage, ripping his headset off at IM Sydney. And I imagine there'd be like a bit of a yell and a fist pump at his PC at home after coming back in that game, staying alive against Crimson.
Oh, cannot believe it.
Dude, this series has been really good.
It has been really good. No, this has been insane, man. I completely wrote off NXZ. Oh, dude, I am tight right now. I am.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Well, what a segue. I am ready for Game 3 here. I'm join off you, I reckon. What's our third map? Can you spoil it for us?
It's Mr. Catalyst.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and I love this map.
Yeah. This is a good choice to continue on from the last season. I would have liked to have kept Blackpink and maybe removed Redshift. Then season 2 would actually probably be my favorite map pool of all time. But you know what? I'll take it.
Hey, man.
We won't see too many Redshift games, I'd imagine, in this qualifier, if any.
No, have not seen many, if at all, yesterday. I can't remember the last time we saw that map. Maybe we saw it once. Still, it's the ZVZ, man. Any map is good for ZVZ as long as it's not like Steps of War. So we're not going to see 6 pulls. It's all good.
Well, maybe if the having a 6 pool in Legacy of Void is a little bit tough. You got to kill 6 of your own drones, and then make a pool. But we'll. Sorry,
you know
what?
That's where Steps of War was played. All right.
That is no, you're not wrong. That is exactly how Steps of War was played. I unfortunately was playing ladder at the beginning of Wings of Liberty, and I do remember that map. It came back for Dreampool, actually. Did you know that the map came back to the ladder for a little bit?
Really? Dreampool? Oh, yeah, I remember Dreampool. Yeah, that was a bad ladder season.
Dude, people kept saying, they got this nostalgia, those rose-tinted goggles, like, oh, Wings of Liberty was so much better, let's bring back those maps. And then they did, and then like, oh, no.
Yeah, I don't mind Wings of Liberty, but those maps, there was some real nasty maps.
Oh, dude, there were some crackers. Scrap Station, are you kidding me?
Oh, wow.
All right. We are going to introduce the players here. At the bottom right, from SYF, this is Crimson. And Moonglade's going to do some adjustments on his side, so I'll introduce the player at the top left as well. From Legacy, this is NXZ. So, Glade, you can let me know when you're back, but we are going to see this final map to decide who continues to stay alive in the winner's bracket and who goes down in the loser's bracket. NXZ with an incredible hold in game number 2, and Crimson with great decision-making, great decisiveness in game number 1, getting that win on Lost and Found. Hatchery first here by NXZ, and Crimson doing the same thing back at home. Just slight differences in drone production here. Moonglade, are you back, my friend?
I am back, mate.
Welcome back, mate.
It's good to be back. What have we seen so far?
Not a whole lot. Just Hatchery first. Pull a little bit quicker for Crimson, but all things considered pretty regular. He's actually not gotten a gas yet, so a little bit interesting.
But I wonder why you think he would delay his gas like that.
He just wants to squeeze out that extra drone, I think.
Just a little extra bump of the minerals just in the early game. Just delays that link speed just a little bit, and I always find link speed timing to be so important. It's like one of those things like you want to have as soon as you can for the build.
Yeah, indeed. When I play Zerg on the ladder, like every now and then I queue up a Zerg just for fun. My main race is Terran, but I like to play the other races as well. And I had a ladder day as Zerg, and in ZVZ, I'm like, I don't feel safe unless I get my link speed up and a Baneling Nest. If I don't have those two things, they're like my safety blankie.
Yeah.
I can't go. It's like trying to go to sleep with cold feet. You can't do it. You gotta be warm and toasty. You gotta be tucked in nice. So that's how I feel in ZVZ. I'm afraid, man. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel safe.
I think
there's the constant threat of link floods.
Yeah, it feels super weird to play with that link speed. One of those builds where you just make a lot of queens and you seal off your base. It still feels weird, man. You never feel that safe. So I know how you feel, man. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, certainly. I'm glad. It helps when my co-caster is with me on things.
Always, buddy. I'm never going to be against you, mate.
Or am I your co-caster?
You're Mike Augusta.
Yep. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a fast lair from Crimson. Cheeky.
Oh, nearly got scouted as well. That would have been a real kick in the stones for the early game for Crimson. Behind this, an Evo chamber. I'm thinking very fast roach. Very fast roach speed, man. With a +1.
I'm with you on that. He hasn't gotten all his gases, so he's not going for super fast meters. In fact, I think super fast meters is not a super strong thing in ZVZ, but the fast Roach Warren, the fast +1, certainly. And I think with NXZ coming back with those links, seeing this Evo chamber, seeing it wiggling as well,
yep,
and the Roach Warren going down, he's probably getting a pretty good read of what's happening here.
Yep, that for sure kind of gives away, a lot of ideas of what's happening. So NXZ has to be very careful how hard he drones and when he starts his Roach production, because he's going to be always in the disadvantage mobility-wise with his Roaches. He's got to get that creep spread between those bases as well, and he's just got to be really on top of his Roach count.
Yeah, Link's coming in, seeing the Evo chamber is still a wiggling. Could have actually seen Roach speed go down as well. That'd show off the lair. And NXZ getting his own back at home at a bit more of a regular time, and he has that third base. So it's going to be all up to NXZ to identify this and hold. Probably going to have to spend a bit of money on spine crawlers, because he is just a little bit extra more spread out than Crimson is.
Well, we are seeing a lot of Roaches being made for Crimson. So far, not really any made for NXZ, because he's only started his Roach Warren 30 seconds ago. It's only half done at this point. This is very, very nerve-wracking, very scary. NXZ has got to be on top of that Roach production the moment it finishes.
He certainly does. He sees no third. He sees the Roach Warren wiggling. He knows exactly what he's up against. His upgrades, so his +1 attack's going to be a lot later, and Crimson is going to have the Roach speed advantage. It looks like he's even walking the Queens across the map. So this is... might just be for the Overlord. Okay, he is going to make that creep highway. Those Overlords are lined up, and they're all pooping out that carpet there for the Queens.
Might even drop some creep tombs to just help that along, but yeah, man. I'm also kind of... I would have thought, a Ling counterattack would have been a great option as well, but it looks like NXZ just decided against such a thing, which is going to make the Roaches a lot more comfortable just running across the map straight into the natural here. And Roach speed is done. +1 is done. It's a tough place to be.
10 more seconds for that +1 for NXZ, and this is when it gets scary. The Queens are here to inject their babies with more life. And the Roaches do have that speed, which means they're going to always have that concave advantage and that sort of launch pad as they pick off 1 or 2 Roaches and then have the ability to pull back. This is very, very devastating of an attacker from Crimson. The Spine Crawler's trying to be burrowed here for NXZ. He did get one, but it's not fighting. He's pulling off the drones. Can NXZ hold this time, or will Crimson barrel through?
He is just taking so much damage. 10 drones have already gone down. The Roaches are still coming out, but they're in a convex right now. They're just in such a bad position. More drones are being pulled as well. This is not a good sign for NXZ. More and more Roaches are streaming across the map as well behind this. Crimson in such a good position.
Yeah, he certainly is. This is very, very much deja vu with a big Roach advantage for Crimson. NXZ losing a lot of drones, but still kind of being okay in economy because Crimson is very all in here. And will NXZ be able to hold on? And one of those Roaches is still on the way. He doesn't have Ravages to pile down their eggs this time, but his big timing attack is too powerful. And Crimson, with a very cheeky all in there in Game 3, closes this victory out with a 2-1. And he will move on in the winner's bracket. NXZ will have to slug it down through the losers.
Oh, man, and that losers bracket's getting stacked right now. We got Probe down there. We got Risky down there. Oh, my goodness.